It was 6 years ago today. The most devastating events most of us have ever experienced took place in New York and Washington, D.C. Today we have a communications expert with us, our friend Meryl Runion, talking about difficult subjects. What to say when words just don't seem appropriate, like there's nothing to say, especially right after, Meryl. Have you noticed that when something traumatic happens?
Oh, absolutely. We go into shock and we don't know how to speak, and then sometimes we do want to talk, but we don't know how to speak about it because it seems unspeakable. There's so much of an emotional charge. There's so much of a reaction. You know, 9/11 was a shared trauma. We all experienced a trauma, but we all experienced it in a very different way.
And that's a rather unusual circumstance that, well, shared trauma could be a whole community can mourn or a family, but we all do it so differently, don't we?
We all have different styles, and one reason is because we have a different relationship to what happened. I wasn't in New York. I actually didn't lose anyone, but it was still traumatic for me. We all had a different kind of relationship to it. And the other thing is that we have very different coping styles, so we react differently when something traumatic happens.
Coping styles, that's what we want to look at now. Let's kind of go through a few of these that you have identified. The talkers. First, we start off with the people who just don't have any problem, just yapping on and on about things.
Well, Paula, it isn't even just that they don't have any problem. They need to. Okay. You know, they want to talk about it, go over it. They'll tell the same story over and over again. No, if you were there and I wasn't, I'll want you to tell me everything 5 different times from several different angles, because that's how the talkers process their trauma. Right. That's how they deal with it.
And then there are the opposite people who put everything inside.
Well, there are also people who go into it deeply, but they do it internally. So there's a lot going on. Those wheels are turning.
All right.
So they are processing.
They are processing.
They are, but they're doing it all by themselves.
See, that's what sometimes you don't realize about some people. You think because they're not talking about it, they're somehow avoiding it.
Well, like they're cold and they're shut down, and as you say, like they are avoiding it because it's not their style to go into it externally.
All right. In fact, well, our next one is about people who try to absorb all they can about it, learn all they can about it.
Well, become experts in the subjects. You know, these are the people, maybe they'll lose a child to leukemia, and then they'll open a leukemia foundation.
Yes,
that kind
they're
of
the
thing.
Cancer experts then.
Right, right. They have to understand, because what they're really trying to do is to make sense of it.
Okay. And those who ignore it?
Well, those who ignore it don't understand those who want to make sense of it at all, because they think that they're just trying to pick a scab off a wound. Those who ignore it just want to pretend it didn't happen, just make it go away. It's as if they don't pay attention to it, it didn't happen.
Well, you also have a list here of why people avoid.
Right.
And I was interested in the number of different reasons for this too. Well,
a lot of people want to avoid talking about something because it brings the experience back. It's like they're reliving the experience, like it's happening all over again. You know, it was bad enough the first time. Why would you want to go back there is kind of the attitude.
That reminds me of some war veterans who process like that. They don't talk about it because they don't want to relive how it felt.
Exactly, right. It's too real. They experience it on a visceral level. Their body may start to shake.
What do you mean by the emotional overload? Like, that sounds similar to the first one.
Well, it is similar to it, but because these experiences are so emotional, if we're concerned we can't manage the emotion, I might not want to talk to you about something that's highly emotional because I don't want to seem emotionally out of control with you. Okay. So I may be perfectly okay about going back there on my own, but I don't want you to see me with my jumble of emotion. And especially, which is number 3, if I have a kind of an emotion that I'm embarrassed about, that I don't want to own. I mean, a lot of people reacted to 9/11 with a kind of hatred or anger that they had never experienced before.
And they were embarrassed about that emotion to show it.
Well, maybe shocked that didn't even know that they could feel that, and so then to feel that and then to show it to someone it makes it even more real and concrete, and so they'd want to stay away from
Meryl,
that.
do you have more on this on your SpeakStrong.com
I do.
website? Tell me more about that website.
Well, if you go to SpeakStrong.com, you can go to my blog, and what I'm asking people to do is to post how 9/11 changed things for them.
Okay, that's
because
good.
You know, people are telling us 9/11 changed everything, but it changed everything differently for everyone, and we need to talk because that's how we heal. When we talk about how we experience things.
It's great seeing you again.
Oh, it's so good to be back.
You have a new book?
I have a new book I'm working on, but I've still got my 4 on my website there at SpeakStrong.
Beautiful. Great to see you again, Meryl.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thanks.
All righty.